Hello. Welcome to Conk's Corner with a visit from my uncle, the horse. Hey everybody, welcome to Conk's Corner with me, John Voth, and Mark and little Dexy. And of course, now I've got Dobby and Hagrid here too. Gifts from friends. Thanks. Yeah, of course he's looking freaked out. He doesn't know what this horse head is all about. Let's pull him over a bit more so you can see him. That's a bit leaned over, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm reading Harry Potter every single day for an hour. I've not read the books, only seen 2 of the movies, don't remember anything from them. Please put the mask back over your face. Thanks, Kenton. I could expect something like that from you. For everybody there, I read all the comments afterwards. Apparently my nickname is now John Brown Sugar Voth, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'll leave the Q&A is at the end, so if you want to write anything down there. No spoilers, no hints in the comments, please. I save all these on YouTube, so if you want to catch up, go to the link in my bio. And I don't like this. What is this? Go to the link in my bio. Ugh, I hate that. Never going to do that again.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. I had a few people ask me, what is a Patreon? So I guess I should explain it before I talk about it every time. Patreon is a website where it's mostly for artists, where you can become a patron of somebody whose art or entertainment that you enjoy and would like to support and have more of. So if you go on there, you can pledge $3 a month and $5 a month. So there's different tiers. And the utmost tier has another weekly reading of another book I'm reading right now. It's uploaded for those people. It's The Goldfinch. I think it just had a movie come out. Again, don't know anything about it. The second tier has a monthly 2-hour short story reading, which I'll be uploading next week. And there's a couple of other perks to the other levels too. So if you're interested, go check it out. That's what Patreon is, okay? And I give 10% of my whatever I'm getting there to the Treehouse Vancouver Child and Youth Advocacy Center. That's they interview and prevent child violence and abuse. All right, so that's the little spiel about Patreon, okay? Thank you to all the healthcare workers. You rock my world, you know you do. You're amazing. And yeah, let's just get this started with a drawing on this. I got a new marker today.
What?
A red marker.
Whoa.
Things are changing around in this town.
I don't like it. I can't handle the change.
You can't handle the change. You know, there isn't enough room in this town for 2 markers. There's just going to be 1. All right, I already tested it. You can see a slight outline that I didn't completely wash off. Oh.
Wow, it's beautiful.
No, it isn't. It's blemished. Put these glasses on and let's get started. So, Ron and Harry just asked out Pavarti and Lavender Brown to the ball. So that's where we're picking up. We're over halfway, baby. We're getting there. Hold on, I don't know about this. That's the way the world's going. You know, the world's changing. Corona brought this about. Red Scar looks more real.
You lost 10 subscribers as soon as you pulled out the red marker.
Oh no. All right, chapter 23, the Yule Ball. Despite the very heavy load of homework that the 4th years had been given for the holidays, Harry was in no mood to work when term ended, and spent the week leading up to Christmas, enjoying himself as fully as possible along with everyone else. Gryffindor Tower was hardly less crowded now than during term time. It seemed to have shrunk slightly too, as its inhabitants were being so much rowdier than usual. Fred and George had had a great success with their cannery creams, and for the first couple of days of the holidays, people kept bursting into feather all over the place. I'm so into that joke and
Canary.
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 What am I saying?
Cannery.
Cannery.
Cannery is where you can fish.
Cannery.
Canary is a bird.
Okay, gotcha. Canary. Canaries. Canary creams. Before long, however, all the Gryffindors had learned to treat food anybody else offered them with extreme caution, in case it had a canary cream concealed in the center. Alliteration again, canary cream concealed in the center. And George confided to Harry that he and Fred were now working on developing something else. Harry made a mental note never to accept so much as a crisp from Fred and George in future. He still hadn't forgotten Dudley and the Tung Toffee. Oh, yeah. Hi, Livy. Snow was falling thickly upon the castle and its grounds now. The pale blue Beauxbatons carriage looked like a large, chilly, frosted pumpkin next to the iced gingerbread house that was Hagrid's cabin, while the Durmstrang ship's portholes were glazed with ice, the rigging white with frost. Oh, right, some music. And I'm gonna still put on the Christmas, it's still Christmas time, I think, right? So I'm gonna throw on some of that Christmas music.
Yeah, there hasn't been a sweater yet.
There hasn't been a sweater yet, that's true. There we go. Hi, Jack Wanan. Welcome, Madeline. It's here, Rachel. The music's here. The house elves down in the kitchen were outdoing themselves with a series of rich, warming stews and savory puddings, and only Fleur de la Coeur seemed to be able to find anything to complain about. It is too heavy, all this Hogwarts food, they heard her say grumpily, as they left the great hall behind her one evening, Ron skulking behind Harry, keen not to be spotted by Fleur. I will not fit into my dress robes! Oh, there's a tragedy, said Hermione snappily as Fleur went out into the entrance hall. She really thinks a lot of herself, that one, doesn't she? Hermione, who are you going to the ball with? No, Hermione, who are you going to the ball with? Said Ron. He kept springing this question on her, hoping to startle her into a response by asking it when she least expected it. However, Hermione merely frowned and said, I'm not telling you. You'll just make fun of me. You're joking, Weasley, said Malfoy behind them. You're not telling me someone's asked that to the ball, not the long-molered mudblood. Calling her that? Punch that kid in the face! I don't know why he isn't more scared of her. Feels like she could just lash out at any moment, and she should. Thrust that fist into his nose. Okay, Harry and Ron both whipped around, but Hermione said loudly, waving to somebody over Malfoy's shoulder, hello, Professor Moody. There we go. Malfoy went pale and jumped backwards. What is this? This is like this epic music happening currently. Okay, here we go. Malfoy went pale and jumped backwards, looking wildly around for Moody, but he was still up at the staff table, finishing his stew. Twitchy little ferret, aren't you, Malfoy? Said Hermione scathingly. And she, Harry, and Ron went up to the marble staircase, laughing heartily. Hermione, said Ron, looking sideways at her, suddenly frowning. Your teeth. What about them? She said. Well, they're different. I've just noticed. Of course they are. Did you expect me to keep those fangs Malfoy gave me? No, I mean, they're different to how they were before he put that hex on you. They're all straight and normal-sized. Hermione suddenly smiled very mischievously, and Harry noticed it too. It was a very different smile to the one he remembered. Well, when I went up to Madame Pomfrey to get them shrunk, she held up a mirror and told me to stop her when they were back to how they normally were, she said. And I just let her carry on a bit. She smiled even more widely. Mum and Dad won't be too pleased. I've been trying to persuade them to let me shrink them for ages, but they wanted to carry on without my brace. You know, they're dentists. They just don't think teeth and magic should... Look! Pigwidgeon's back! Ron's tiny owl was twittering madly. A tweety tweety twitter, a tweety tweety tweeter. Ron's tiny owl.
That's the way the cannery sounds.
Every bird. Very specific bird sounds for every bird. It looks like Dexter's about to fall over in that thing. Ron's tiny owl was twittering madly on top of the icicle-laden banisters, a scroll of parchment tied to his leg. People passing him were pointing and laughing, and a group of third-year girls paused and said, Oh, look at that tweeny owl. Isn't he cute? Stupid little feathery jit, Ron hissed, hurrying up the stairs and snatching Pigwidgeon up. You bring letters straight to the addressee. You don't hang around showing off. Pigwidgeon hooted happily, his head protruding over Ron's fist. The third-year girls all looked very shocked. Clear off! Ron snapped at them, waving the fist holding Pigwidgeon, who hooted more happily than ever as he soared through the air. Here, take it, Harry, Ron added in an undertone, as the third-year girls scuttled away looking scandalized. He pulled Sirius' reply off Pigwidgeon's leg. Harry pocketed it. Harry pocketed it. Harry pocketed it. There we go. And they hurried back to Gryffindor Tower to read it. It didn't happen in this book yet, did it?
No, this is it.
This is it. I feel like there should be a big celebration every single time it happens. Harry pocketed it. Okay, everybody say it at home on 3. You too, Mark. 1, 2, 3. Pocketed it.
Pocketed it.
Pocketed it. Everyone in the common room was much too busy letting off more holiday steam to observe what anyone else was up to. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat apart from everyone else by a dark window that was gradually filling up with snow, and Harry read out... Who's saying this now? Sirius.
Dear Harry, congratulations on getting past the Horntail. Whoever put your name in that goblet shouldn't be feeling too happy right now. I was going to suggest... a conjunctivitis curse, as a dragon's eyes are its weakest point.
That's what Crumb did, Hermione whispered.
But your way was better. I'm impressed. Don't get complacent, though, Harry. You've only done one task. Whoever put you in for the tournaments got plenty more opportunity if they're trying to hurt you. Keep your eyes open, particularly when the person we discussed is around, and concentrate on keeping yourself out of trouble. Keep in touch. I still want to hear about anything unusual. Sirius.
Sounds exactly like Moody, said Harry quietly, tucking the letter away again inside his robes. Constant vigilance. You'd think I walk around with my eyes shut, banging off the walls. But he's right, Harry, said Hermione. You have still got 2 tasks to do. You really ought to have a look at that egg, you know, and start working out what it means. Hermione, he's got ages, snapped Ron. Want a game of chess, Ron? Harry. Sorry, let me do that again. Hermione, he's got ages. Want a game of chess, Harry? Yeah, okay, said Harry. Then spotting the look on Hermione's face, he said, Come on, how am I supposed to concentrate with all this noise going on? I won't even be able to hear the egg over this lot. Oh, I suppose not, she sighed, and she sat down to watch their chess match, which culminated in an exciting checkmate of Ron's, involving a couple of recklessly brave pawns and a very violent bishop. As always, I never listen to Hermione unless they need her. Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too till now. Listen to her. The cleverest of the bunch, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe is Ron best at strategizing because of, you know, chess and all that stuff, but definitely the most clever out of all of them. Hello, back to you, Ali from Pakistan. Thanks for joining. Okay, question for all y'all. If you had a theme song, what would your theme song be? Harry awoke very suddenly on Christmas Day, wondering what had caused his abrupt return to consciousness. He opened his eyes and saw something with a very large, round, green eyes staring back at him in the darkness. So close, they were almost nose to nose. Dobby! Harry yelled, scrambling away from the elf so fast he almost fell out of bed. Don't do that! Dobby is sorry, sir! Squeaked Dobby anxiously, jumping backwards with his long fingers over his mouth. Dobby is only wanting to wish Harry Potter Merry Christmas and bring him a present, sir. Harry Potter did say Dobby could come and see him sometime, sir. It's okay, said Harry, still breathing rather faster than usual, while his heart rate returned to normal. Just prod me or something in the future, all right? Don't bend over me like that. Harry pulled back the hangings around his four-poster, took his glasses from his bedside table, and put them on. His yell had awoken Ron, Seamus, Dean, and Neville. All of them were peering through the gaps in their own hangings, heavy-eyed and touzle-haired. Someone attacking you, Harry? Seamus asked sleepily. No, it's just Dobby, Harry muttered. Go back to sleep. Nah, presents, said Seamus, spotting the large pile at the foot of his bed. Ron, Dean, and Neville decided that now they were awake, they might as well go down to some present opening too. Anita, they see me rolling. Nice. Harry turned back to Dobby, who was now standing nervously next to Harry's bed, still looking worried that he had upset Harry. There was a Christmas bauble tied to the loop on top of his tea cozy. Cute little guy. Can Dobby give Harry Potter his present? He squeaked tentatively. Of course you can, said Harry. I've got something for you too. It was a lie. He hadn't brought anything for Dobby at all. But he quickly opened his trunk and pulled out a particularly knobbly rolled-up pair of socks. They were his oldest and foulest, mustard yellow, and had once belonged to Uncle Vernon. The reason they were extra knobbly was that Harry had been using them to cushion his sneakoscope for over a year now. He pulled out the sneakoscope and handed the socks to Dobby, saying, Sorry, I forgot to wrap them. But Dobby was utterly delighted. Okay, even though Dobby's utterly delighted, come on, Harry. Don't give him an old, stinky, rancid sock.
All he wants is clothes.
What, Dobby?
Yeah. Right? They're giving, like, Ron's giving him his sweater that his mom made. Like, all Dobby really cares about is clothes.
Give him something that's not stinky and old, you know? There's so many clothes problems with this particular book. So many clothing-related problems.
Can you not? I don't want to look at that.
Hey, everybody, complain to me about how I'm wrong about clothing. Socks are Dobby's favorite clothes, sir, he said, ripping up his odd ones and pulling on Uncle Vernon's. I has 7 now, sir. But, sir, he said, his eyes widening, having pulled both socks up to their highest extent, so that they reached the bottom of his shorts. They has made a mistake in the shop, Harry Potter. They is giving you 2 the same. No, Harry, how come you didn't... Oh, no, Harry, how come you didn't spot that? Said Ron, grinning from over from his own bed, which was now strewn with wrapping paper. Tell you what, Dobby, here you go. Take these 2, and you can mix them up properly. And here's your jumper. He threw Dobby a pair of violet socks he had just unwrapped, and the hand-knitted sweater Mrs. Weasley had sent. Dobby looked quite overwhelmed. Sir is very kind, he squeaked, his eyes brimming with tears again, bowing deeply to Ron. Dobby knew Sir must be a great wizard, for he is Harry Potter's greatest friend. But Dobby did not know that he was also as generous of spirit, as noble, as selfless. They're only socks, said Ron, who had gone slightly pink around the ears, though looking rather pleased all the same. Wow, Harry! He had just opened Harry's present, a Chudley Cannon hat. Chudley Cannon's a team, right? Chudley Cannon, I think, is a Quidditch team. So it's a piece of merch, I think. Cool! He jammed it onto his head, where it clashed horribly with his hair. Dobby now handed Harry a small package, which turned out to be socks. Dobby is making them himself, sir, the elf said happily. He is buying the wool out of his wages, sir. The left sock was bright red and had a pattern of broomsticks upon it. The right sock was green with a pattern of snitches. I bet that's a piece of merch you can buy officially on Harry Potter Store, wizardingworld.com or something like that.
Yeah, that website, not one of them. Harry Potter Store, wizardingworld.com.
Yeah, that's the website. But I bet you can buy that specific piece of merch. I bet you can. they're really... Well, thanks, Dobby, said Harry, and he pulled him on, causing Dobby's eyes to leak with happiness again. Dobby must go now, sir. We's already making Christmas dinners in the kitchens, said Dobby, and he hurried out of the dormitory, waving goodbye to Ron and the others as he passed. Okay, bye-bye, Allie. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being there. Harry's other presents were much more satisfactory than Dobby's odd socks, with the obvious exception of the Dursleys, which consisted of a single tissue. I wonder what they're going to do in the next 3 books. Probably like include a gun with with just an inscription, shoot yourself, or something like that. Oh, that's funny. Harry supposed they too were remembering the Tun-Tung Toffee. Hermione had given Harry a book called Quidditch Teams of Britain and Ireland. Ron, a bulging bag of dung bombs. Sirius, a handy penknife with attachments to Sirius, a handy penknife with attachments to unlock any lock and undo any knot. Nice. Way to go, Sirius. And Hagrid, a vast box of sweets, including all Harry's favorites. Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. Had it! Thank you, Amanda. Chocolate frogs. Had it! Thank you, Amanda. Drooble's best blowing gum. Haven't had it. No thanks to anybody. And fizzing Whizbees. There was also, of course...
If you're not buying John Candy, you're out!
Yeah, stop listening! Don't watch you on the stream unless you send me gift packages. There was also, of course, Mrs. Weasley's usual package, including a new jumper. Green, with a picture of a dragon on it. Dope.
Oh, nice.
Dope sweater. Harry supposed Charlie had told her all about the horntail. And there was also a large quantity of homemade mince pies. Oh, also very good. Ah. Harry and Ron met up with Hermione in the common room, and they went down to breakfast together. They spent most of the morning in Gryffindor Tower, where everyone was enjoying their presents, then returned to the Great Hall for a magnificent lunch, which included at least 100 turkeys and Christmas puddings, and large piles of Cribbage's wizarding crackers. They went out into the grounds in the afternoon. The snow was untouched, except for the deep channels made by the Durmstrang and Beauxbatons students. This is a weird Christian Christmas mix. It's the Christian version of Harry Potter.
Dumbledore's Jesus.
Yeah. This is also very weird. Come on now, YouTube. That's why I'm looking forward to my little playlist thing, like my button thing. Play it. That's better. They went out into the grounds in the afternoon. The snow was untouched, except for the deep channels made by the Durmstrang and Beauxbatons students on their way to the castle. Hermione chose to watch Harry and the Weasley snowball fight rather than join in. And at 5 o'clock said she was going back upstairs to get ready for the ball. What? You need 3 hours? Said Ron, looking at her incredulously. I feel like Ron just does a lot of these faces. I just feel like he's always like kind of perplexed, kind of annoyed and perplexed by everything that comes his way. Okay, fine, yeah. Well, I don't know. My childhood pastor introduced me to Harry Potter. Well, one of the reasons I hadn't read it was the community I was part of said they were witchcraft books and evil books. So that's one of the reasons I never read it. What? You need 3 hours? Said Ron, looking at her incredulously and paying for his lapse in concentration when a large snowball thrown by George hit him hard on the side of the head. Who are you going with? He yelled after Hermione, but she just waved and disappeared up the stone steps into the castle. There was no Christmas tea today, as the ball included a feast. So at 7 o'clock, when it had become hard to aim properly, the others abandoned their snowball fight and trooped back to the common room, The fat lady was sitting in her frame with her friend Violet from downstairs. I love this. Both of them extremely tipsy. Empty boxes of chocolate liqueurs littering the bottom of her picture. Larry finds that's the one! She giggled when they gave her the password, and she swung forwards to let them inside. Harry, Ron, Seamus, Dean, and Neville changed into their dress robes up in their dormitory. Oh, yeah. Due to poor connection. Is that happening?
Nope.
Okay, well, we're back at it. But none, all of them looking very self-conscious, but none as much as Ron, who surveyed himself in the long mirror in the corner with an appalled look on his face. There was just no getting around the fact that his robes looked more like a dress than anything else. In a desperate attempt to make them look more manly, he used a severing charm on the ruff and cuffs. It worked fairly well. At least he was now lace-free, although he hadn't done a very neat job, and the edges still looked depressingly frayed as they set off downstairs. Okay, so they're wearing robes. How are these robes different from the regular robes they're wearing?
I don't know. It basically just says that they're dress robes.
Yeah.
So they're dressier?
If anybody knows, I don't know how many arguments I got in at TW about whether Harry Potter was evil. Yeah, right? Right, Timon? I'm getting a glitchy signal. Okay, apparently it's better now. They're fancier. They're fancy. Okay, but like, I understand, but how are they fancier? Like
trim and better material, like a fancier material or something like
okay.
that.
Like tuxes, just that they're robes instead of just plain black. Okay, so they have different colors and probably designs and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now that I understand the clothing world of the wizards, my gosh, it's so hard to understand. I still can't work out how you get the two best-looking girls in the year, muttered Dean. Animal magnetism, said Ron gloomily, pulling stray threads out of his cuffs. Animal magnetism, that's so funny. The common room looked strange, full of people wearing different colors instead of the usual mass of black. I'm going to try find what's it called? The Yule Ball Harry Potter. Harry Potter Yule Ball music. How about that, y'all? How about that, y'all? Yule Ball soundtrack, 2 minutes. No, Potter Waltz, extended. Okay, let's do that, shall we? Let's get the Potter... Well, that's going to happen when they waltz, but might as well put this in here now. Hello, HXTTPS, she's Rando. Doing good, glad you're joining. Okay. The common room looked strange, full of people wearing different clothes, different colors instead of the usual mass of black. Parvati was waiting for Harry at the foot of the stairs. She looked very pretty indeed, in robes of shocking pink, with her long, dark plait braided with gold, and gold bracelets glimmering at her wrists. Harry was relieved to see that she wasn't giggling. You, look nice, he said awkwardly. Who's a party? Thanks, she said. Padma's going to meet you in the... wait, she's got a little bit of Cockney going on. Yeah, there we go. Padma's going to meet you in the entrance hall, she added to Ron. Right, Ron said, looking around. Where's Hermione? Oh, he has a crush on Hermione already. He's always like, where is she? Where is she? Who are you going with? Just ask her, you idiot. Did he? He did, didn't he? Oh, he did. Right.
He keeps asking her.
Right. Parvati shrugged. Shall we go down then, Harry? Okay, said Harry, wishing he could just stay in the common room. Fred winked at Harry as he passed him on the way out of the portrait hole. The entrance hall was packed with students too, all milling around, waiting for 8 o'clock, when the doors to the great hall would be thrown open. Those people who were meeting partners from different houses were edging through the crowd, trying to find each other. Parvati found her sister Padma and led her over to Harry and Ron. Padma, okay. I have to find out the difference between Parvati and Padma. Okay. Hi, said Padma, who was looking just as pretty as Parvati in robes of bright turquoise. She didn't look too enthusiastic about having Ron as a partner. Oh, Oh, sorry. I thought Ron and Harry asked out Parvati and Lavender Brown.
They asked Harry asked Parvati when Lavender was beside her, and then asked Lavender about Ron, but Lavender already had a date.
Right, yeah. Okay, this makes, okay, thank you. They're twins, so it might be hard. Well, I differentiated between George and Fred, so I'll try to find the same thing for these two. They're twins, okay. Said Padma, who was looking just as pretty as Parvati in robes of bright turquoise. She didn't look too enthusiastic about having Ron as a partner, though. Her dark eyes lingered on the frayed neck and sleeves of his dress robes as she looked him up and down. Hi, said Ron, not looking at her, but staring at the crowd. No. He bent his knees slightly to hide behind Harry, because Fleur de la Cour was passing, looking stunning, in robes of silver grey satin, and accompanied by the Ravenclaw Quidditch captain, Roger Davies. When they had disappeared, Ron stood straight again and stared over the heads of the crowd. Where is Hermione? He said again. A group of Slytherins came up from the steps from their dungeon common room. Malfoy was in front. He was wearing dress robes of black velvet with a high collar, which in Harry's opinion made him look like a vicar. Pansy Parkinson was clutching Malfoy's arm, in very frilly robes of pale pink. Crabbe and Goyelle were both wearing green. They resembled moss-colored boulders. That's good. That's really good. And neither of them, Harry was pleased to see, had managed to find a partner. Okay. The oak front doors opened, and everyone turned to look as the Durmstrang students entered with Professor Karkaroff. Crumb was at the front of the party, accompanied by a pretty girl in blue robes Harry didn't know. Over their heads he saw that an area of lawn right in front of the castle had been transformed into a sort of grotto full of fairy lights. Oh, cool, that's cool. Meaning hundreds of actual living fairies were sitting on the rose bushes that had been conjured there, and fluttering over the statues in what seemed to be Father Christmas and his reindeer. Then Professor McGonagall's voice called, "Champions, over here, please!" Parvati readjusted her bangles, beaming. She and Harry said, "See you in a minute," to Ron and Padma, and walked forwards. The chattering crowd parted to let them through. Professor McGonagall, who was wearing dress robes of red tartan, I know it's tartan, had arranged a rather ugly wreath of thistles around the brim of her hat, told them to wait on one side of the doors while everyone else went inside. They were to enter the great hall in procession when the rest of the students had sat down. Fleur de la Cour and Roger Davies stationed themselves nearest the doors. Roger Davies.
What's her date? He's the captain of the Ravenclaw team?
Yeah, okay, I gotta write that down too. Roger Davies. It's a wicked name. Wicked name. Okay, Davies looked so stunned by his good fortune in having Fleur for a partner that he could hardly take his eyes off her. Cedric and Cho were close to Harry too. He looked away from them so he wouldn't have to talk to them. His eyes fell instead on the girl next to Crumb. His jaw dropped. It was Hermione. "I'm always right! I'm always right! I'm never wrong with my premonitions!
You were right this one time.
I'm always right!"
You gotta turn that into like a full song.
Yeah.
Send it to a sound producer.
Oh man, it just feels so good. It feels so good to know the future.
Yeah, it's like the one time that you're feeling that feeling.
The one time times infinity.
So
I win.
It's really,
I win.
It's really special that you're feeling it right now.
One times time infinity.
That's probably why it
so
feels so good.
I was always right. Oh. Actually impressed you got this one. What do you mean this one? What do you mean this one, Kat?
The only time you got it right. 1 out of 100.
Whatever. You know, I'm just gonna do this by myself from now on. Parvati was gazing at Hermione wait, sorry, I skipped a section. But she didn't look like Hermione at all. She had done something with her hair. It was no longer bushy, but sleek and shiny, and twisted up into an elegant knot at the back of her head. She was wearing robes made of floaty periwinkle blue material, and she was holding herself differently somehow. Or maybe it was merely the absence of the 20 or so books she usually had slung over her back. She was also smiling, rather nervously, it was true, but the reduction in the size of her front teeth was more noticeable than ever. Harry couldn't understand how he hadn't spotted it before. Hi, Harry, she said. Hi, Pavati. Pavati was gazing at Hermione in unflattering disbelief. She wasn't the only one either. When the doors to the great hall opened, Crumb's fan club from the library stalked past, throwing Hermione looks of deepest loathing. "Ooh, I want you to die because you took my man." Pansy Parkinson gaped at her as she walked by with Malfoy, and even he didn't seem to be able to find an insult to throw at her. She was like, "Oh!" This like bright light pours forth from her. Ron, however, walked right past Hermione without looking at her. Glow up. Once everyone else was settled in the hall, Professor McGonagall told the champions and their partners to get in line in pairs and follow her. They did so, and everyone in the great hall applauded as they entered and started walking up towards a large round table at the top of the hall where the judges were sitting. It's such a good scene in the movie. Cool. Looking forward to it. The walls of the hall had all been covered in sparkling, like, subscribe, and and check out my other links. Click on the link over here and the link over here. The walls of the hall had been covered in sparkling silver frost, with hundreds of garlands of mistletoe and ivy crossing the starry black ceiling. The house tables had vanished. Instead, there were about 100 smaller, lantern-lit ones, each seating about a dozen people. Harry concentrated on not tripping over his feet. Spew time, remember the house elves. Harry concentrated on not tripping over his feet. Parvati seemed to be enjoying herself. She was beaming around at everybody, steering Harry so forcefully that he felt as though he was a show dog she was putting through its paces. He caught sight of Ron and Padma as he neared the top table. Ron was watching Hermione pass with narrowed eyes. Padma was looking sulky. That's so funny. He's like, he likes her, but there's nothing with him that wants to admit it. That's probably it. He's like, whatever. Dumbledore smiled happily as the champions approached the top table, but Karkaroff wore an expression remarkably like Ron's as he watched Crumb and Hermione draw nearer. Ludo Bagman, tonight in robes of bright purple with large yellow stars, was clapping as enthusiastically as any of the students, and Madame Maxine, who had changed her usual uniform of black satin for a flowing gown of lavender silk, was applauding them politely. But Mr. Crouch, Harry suddenly realized, was not there. The fifth seat at the table was occupied by Percy Weasley. When the champions and their partners reached the table, Percy drew out the empty chair beside him, staring pointedly at Harry. Harry took the hint and sat down next to Percy, who was wearing brand new navy blue dress robes and an expression of great smugness. "I've been promoted," Percy said, before Harry could even ask, and from his tone he might have been announcing his election as supreme ruler of the universe. "I'm now Mr. Crouch's personal assistant, and I'm here representing him." "Why didn't he come?" Harry asked. He wasn't looking forward to being lectured on cauldron bottoms all through dinner. "I'm afraid to say Mr. Crouch isn't well. Not well at all. Hasn't been right since the World Cup. Hardly surprising. Overwork. He's not as young as he was, though still quite brilliant, of course. The mind remains as great as it ever was. But the World Cup was a fiasco for the whole ministry, and then Mr. Crouch suffered a huge personal shock with the misbehavior of that house elf of his, Blinky or whatever she's called. Naturally, he dismissed her immediately afterwards, but, well, as I say, he's getting on. He needs looking after, and I think he's found a definite drop in his home comforts since she left. And then, And then we had the tournament to arrange, and the aftermath of the cup to deal with. That revolting Skeeter woman buzzing around. No, poor man. He's having a well-earned, quiet Christmas. I'm just glad he knew he had someone he could rely on to take his place. Harry wanted very much to ask whether Mr. Crouch had stopped calling Percy Weatherby yet, but resisted the temptation. There was no food as yet on the glittering golden plates, but small menus lying in front of each of them. Harry picked his ups uncertainly, and looked around. There were no waiters. Dumbledore, however, looked carefully down his own menu, then said very clearly to his plate, "Pork..." Oh, no, wait, who's this? Dumbledore. "Pork chops." And pork chops appeared. Getting the idea, the rest of the table placed their orders with their plates too. Love that. Oh man, I think if there was any superhero power, it would be that one.
You changing your mind?
Yeah. Just chocolate. and pork chops appeared. Harry glanced up at Hermione to see how she felt about this new and more complicated method of dining. Surely it meant plenty of extra work for the house elves. But for once, Hermione didn't seem to be thinking about spew. She was deep in talk with Victor Crumb, and hardly seemed to notice that she was eating. It now occurred to Harry that he had never actually heard Crumb speak before, but he was certainly talking now, and very enthusiastically at that. So he's got that kind of accent, but he's a boy. Well, we have a castle also, not as big as this, nor as comfortable. But I am thinking, he was telling Hermione, we have just 4 floors, and the fires are lit only for magical purposes. But we have grounds larger than even these. Though in winter we have very little daylight, so we are not enjoying them. But in summer we are flying every day over the lakes and the mountains. Now, Victor, said Karkaroff with a laugh that didn't reach his cold eyes. Now, oh gosh. Now, Victor. Don't go giving away anything else now. Your charming friend will know exactly where to find us, eh? Dumbledore smiled, his eyes twinkling. Igor, all this secrecy. One would almost think you didn't want visitors. Well, Dumbledore, said Karkaroff, displaying his yellowing teeth to their fullest extent. We are all protective of our private domains, are we not? Do we not jealously guard the halls of learning that have been entrusted to us? Are we not right to be proud that we alone know our school secrets and are right to protect them? Oh, I would never dream of assuming I know all Hogwarts secrets, Igor, said Dumbledore amicably. Only this morning, for instance, I took a wrong turning on the way to the bathroom and found myself in a beautifully proportioned room I've never seen before, containing a really rather magnificent collection of chamber pots. When I went back to investigate more closely, I discovered that the room had vanished. But I must keep my eye out for it. It is only accessible at 5:30 in the morning, or it may only appear at the quarter moon, or when the seeker has had an exceptionally full bladder. Harry snorted into his plate of goulash. Percy frowned, but Harry could have sworn Dumbledore had given him a very small wink. That's awesome. I love that dude. Meanwhile, Fleur Delacour was criticizing the Hogwarts decorations to Roger Davies. Who's saying this? Fleur. This is nothing. This is nothing, she said dismissively, looking around at the sparkling walls of the Great Hall. At the Palace of Beauxbatons, we have ice sculptures all around the dining chamber at Christmas. They do not melt, of course. They are like huge statues of diamond glittering around the place. And the food is simply superb. And we have choirs of wood nymphs who serenade us as we eat. We have none of this ugly armor in the halls. And if a poltergeist ever enters... Oh, wait, sorry. This is Yeah, Fleur, sorry. And we have none of this ugly amour in the halls. And if a poltergeist ever entered into Beauxbatons, it will be expelled like that. She slapped her hand onto the table impatiently. Roger Davies was watching her talk with a very dazed look on his face, and he kept missing his mouth with his fork. Harry had the impression that Davies was too busy staring at Fleur to take in a word she was saying. Oh yeah, right. Roger Davies. Absolutely right, he said quickly, slapping his own hand down on the table in imitation of Fleur. Like that? Yeah. Harry looked around the hall. Hagrid was sitting at one of the other staff tables. He was back in his horrible hairy brown suit and gazing up at the top table. Harry saw him give a small wave, and looking around, saw Madame Maxine return it, her opals glittering in the candlelight. Hermione was now teaching Crumb to say her name properly. He kept saying, Hermione. Hermione, she said slowly and clearly. Hermione. Close enough, she said, catching Harry's eyes and grinning. When all the food had been consumed, Dumbledore stood up and asked the students to do the same. Then, at a wave of his hand, the table zoomed back along the walls, leaving the floor clear, and then he conjured a raised platform into existence along the right-hand wall. A set of drums, several guitars, a lute, a cello, and some bagpipes were set upon it. The Weird Sisters now trooped up onto the stage to wildly enthusiastic applause. Weird Sisters? They were all extremely hairy.
The band.
Have you heard this band before?
They were mentioned.
Oh, they were mentioned. Okay, but they haven't appeared yet.
No.
Okay, gotcha. They were all extremely hairy and dressed in black robes that had been artfully ripped and torn. They picked up their instruments, and Harry... Oh, he wants back up. Come here. Come back, sir. Yeah, here you go. Oh, come, back, sir. Come here. Huh? Or not. The wiles and wills of this dog. Okay. They picked up their instruments, and Harry, who had been so interested in watching them that he had almost forgotten what was coming, suddenly realized that the lanterns on all the other tables had gone out, and that the other champions and their partners were standing up. Come on, Parvati, we're supposed to dance. Harry tripped over his dress robes as he stood up. Sorry, that was really funny. Dexter was just like standing there with a ball in his mouth going, I'll just do it, whatever. Okay, here you go. Go get it. There he goes. Carefully avoiding... Harry tripped over his dress robes as he stood up. The Weird Sisters struck up a slow, mournful tune. Harry walked onto the brightly lit dance floor, carefully avoiding catching anyone's eye. He could see Seamus and Dean waving at him and sniggering. And next moment, Parvati had seized his hands, placed one around her waist, and was holding the other tightly in hers. She's going to be leading. She'll be the lead in this for sure. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, Harry thought, revolving slowly on the spot. Parvati was steering. Premonition! He kept his eyes fixed over the heads of the watching people, and very soon many of them too had come onto the dance floor, so that the champions were no longer the center of attention. Neville and Ginny were dancing nearby. He could see Ginny wincing frequently as Neville trod on her feet. Oh, no! Oh! He's just yelling the whole time, too. I'm so sorry! Oh! What am I doing? And very soon, Neville, and Dumbledore is waltzing with Madame Maxine. He was so dwarfed by her that the top of his pointed hat barely tickled her chin. Oh, she's so tall, too. Wow. However, she moved gracefully for a woman so large. Mad-Eye Moody was doing an extremely ungainly two-step with Professor Sinistra, who was nervously avoiding his wooden leg. Not nice socks, Potter, Moody growled as he passed, his magical eyes staring through Harry's robes. Oh.
It's pretty creepy.
Why?
It's pretty
What are you doing? What is he doing? Why is he looking there in the first place?
Yeah.
Is he constantly seeing through everybody's robes? Like, can he not shut it off? Is he constantly like, I don't think you're gonna. I don't think any of you can explain this one away. You know, the clothes might have had a different, you know, aspects. Explain this one to me, huh? Okay. Oh yeah, Dobby the house elf knitted them for me," said Harry, grinning. Parvati's a little bit. She's from the streets. She talks a little bit like this. Yeah, he's so creepy. Parvati whispered as Moody clunked away. "I don't think that I should be allowed." Harry heard the final quavering note from the bagpipe with relief. The Weird Sisters stopped playing. Applause filled the hall once more, and Harry let go of Parvati at once. "Let's sit down, shall we?" "Oh, but this is a really good one," Parvati said, as the Weird Sisters struck up a new song, which was much faster. "No, I don't like it," Harry lied, and he led her away from the dance floor, past Fred and Angelina, who were dancing so exuberantly that people around them were backing away for fear of injury, and over the table where Ron and Padma were sitting. Oh, this chapter goes on for a while. I don't think we'll finish it before we end today. "How's it going?" Harry asked Ron, sitting down and opening a bottle of butter beer. Ron didn't answer. He was glaring at Hermione and Crumb, who were dancing nearby. Padma was sitting with her arms and legs crossed. Poor girl, come on, dude. One foot jiggling in time to the music. Every now and then she threw a disgruntled look at Ron, who was completely ignoring her. That sucks. Parvati sat down on Harry's other side, crossed her arms and legs too, and within minutes was asked to dance by a boy from Beauxbatons. "You don't mind, do you, Harry?" Parvati asked. "What?" said Harry, who was now watching Cho and Cedric. "Oh, never mind," snapped Parvati, and she went off with the boy from Beauxbatons. When the song ended, she did not return. Hermione came over and sat down in Parvati's empty chair. She was a bit pink in the face from dancing. "Hi," said Harry. Ron didn't say anything. "It's hot, isn't it?" said Hermione, fanning herself with her hand. Victor's just gone to get some drinks." Ron gave her a withering look. "Victor?" he said. "Hasn't he asked you to call him Vicky yet?" Hermione looked at him in surprise. "What's up with you?" she said. "If you don't know," said Ron scathingly, "I'm not going to tell you." Hermione stared at him, then at Harry, who shrugged. "Ron, what?" "He's from Durmstrang," spat Ron. "He's competing against Harry, against Hogwarts. You're... Ron was obviously casting around for words strong enough to describe Hermione's crime. "Fraternizing with the enemy! That's what you're doing!" Hermione's mouth fell open. "Don't be so stupid," she said after a moment. "The enemy? Honestly, who was the one who was all excited when they saw him arrive? Who was the one who wanted his autograph? Who's got a model of him up in their dormitory?" Ron chose to ignore this. "I suppose he asked you to come with him while you were both in the library?" "Yes, he did," said Hermione, the pink patches on her cheeks glowing more brightly. "So what?" "What happened? Trying to get him to join Spew, are you?" "No, I wasn't. If you really want to know, he said he'd been coming up to the library every day to try and talk to me, but he hadn't been able to pluck up the courage."
Cute.
Nice. Hermione said this very quickly and blushed so deeply that she was the same color as Parvati's robes. "Yeah, well, that's his story," said Ron nastily. "And what's that supposed to mean?" "Obvious, isn't it? He's Karkaroff's student, isn't he? He knows who you hang around with. He's just trying to get closer to Harry, get inside information on him, or get near enough to jinx him." Hermione looked as though Ron had slapped her. When she spoke, her voice quivered. For your information, he hasn't asked me one single thing about Harry. Not one." Ron changed tack at the speed of light. Then he's hoping you'll help him find out what his egg means. I suppose you've been putting your heads together during these cozy little library sessions." "I'd never help him work out that egg," said Hermione, looking outraged. "Never. How could you say something like that? I want Harry to win the tournament. Harry knows that, don't you, Harry? You've got a funny way of showing it, sneered Ron. This whole tournament's supposed to be about getting to know foreign wizards and making friends with them, said Hermione shrilly. No, it isn't, shouted Ron. It's about winning! People were starting to stare at them. Ron, said Harry quietly, I haven't got a problem with Hermione coming with Crumb, but Ron ignored Harry too. Why don't you go and find Vicky? He'll be wondering where you are, said Ron. Don't call him Vicky! Hermione jumped to her feet and stormed off across the dance floor, disappearing into the crowd. Ron's down on my books!
Oh, big time.
This book, it was first of all Harry being... Ron was... No, actually no, Ron is being very petty, this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as he feels like he's second fiddle, he's like, you suck! That's basically the subtext of everything he's saying. Oh, we're 4 minutes out. Okay, I'm gonna end here. I know there's a whole bunch to go here, but today I'm gonna end there. All right, friends, let's see what you're asking me. Sherigale asks, what would your theme song be? Oh gosh, what would my theme song be? It's this weird song by Louis the 13th. I don't, not for the lyrics. I don't really know what the lyrics mean it on. It's called Death by Association. Oh no, Guilt by Association. Why is guilt? Death. It's called Guilt by Association. It is so weird. First of all, he has a kind of voice. I can only listen to him for one song, but it's just so random and playful and weird. I don't know. I like that song a lot. Okay, Brown Sugar. Are you a fan of Tim and Eric? I absolutely am. I love their humor. And I did a commercial for Eric Wareheim. He directed the commercial. So I got to spend a day with him while he directed me doing different funny things. Now, this was shot back in, oh gosh, it was shot back in, I think, September. And for bigger budget commercials, they take a longer time to come out. So I did a voiceover for it in, I think, March. So it's, and through this whole thing, I don't know what they're doing with their ad campaign. So yeah, if you have questions, Cat Jack, write them down into the question cards. So it's probably still coming out. Hagrid is looking depressed, just laying there with his head down. Oh no, he's suffocating too. Dexter knocking him over. I'm gonna find better places for everybody here too. Thanks for saving him, Teresa. So bad with names. Sorry. Would you rather ride a broomstick or a magic carpet? Magic carpet. I'm sorry, but definitely magic carpet. Do you know? Yeah.
Wouldn't be nearly as fun.
Why? I don't want a stick right between my legs and my tender parts. I don't want to be like, it's like sitting on a horse.
Tender parts.
Yeah, I'd rather sit on a carpet. Carpets are so comfortable to sit on. Makes sense. How is it working with Jensen and Supernatural? Really fun, really nice guys. It was my first time on a bigger set, and while we were waiting, I told them, I was like, oh really? You know, had a conversation with me about it. It was super nice. What was funny about it though is all the actors who I worked with, they would talk normally, and when they start filming, Jensen in particular, voice would drop down here. Would always talk like this, like that's his I guess character voice or film voice. You know, he'd be dropping it down. I guess have more bass in the scenes or something like that. 2 more questions. 1 minute remaining. I'll see if I can. Does Tim seem like a normal person in life? I didn't actually see Tim. Eric Wareheim directed the commercial, so I didn't see him. But yeah, very normal. Would you rather ride a magic carpet or a... Oh, come on, Nathan.
What was the other?
No, it's good. All right. All right, friends, thank you again for today. I will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Check out my Patreon in my channel if you're interested in other reads and supporting me in other ways. Thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I have 30 seconds. There's one more question. I'll see if I can answer it. Would you upload to YouTube the last reading? Yes, absolutely. Doing that tonight. Okay, friends. Bye-bye now.